As we come together today, it is a time of great joy because it is when we celebrate the mothers, grandmothers. If he was here, I guess we have my great grand there, who have birthed us, shaped us, and have an influence beyond any other, to my thinking, in building our lives and guiding us. And now let us enter into a time of silence and meditation. What I'd like to read is meditation that I listen to every morning. I usually listen to at least one other one, but this one I find so moving, and I'll refer to it later on in my sermon. It's by a man named Warren J. Sofer, and it's called Today is a New Day. Today is a new day, a day that we can be aware. We each have the power to cultivate a more open, fresh outlook on our lives. All it takes is starting fresh, setting an intention, then returning to that intention during the day. Yesterday is in the past. Tomorrow is just a thought. Today is one day, the only day we have to be alive.
I Am Mother. Kristen Canny wrote this multi-voice poem in 2016 to be read by a group of diverse mothers. I am mother.
I am mother. I am mother. I am mother.
I am mama. I am mommy. I am Chinese, Jewish, African, Republican, trans, Muslim, lesbian, Catholic, Cuban, Irish, straight, Democrat, Baptist, German, Latina, non-binary, Native American. I am Russian. I am mother to my baby, a true miracle on this earth. I nurture this precious being, whether conceived in my body or that of another woman. I am precious being who I love more than life itself. I am mother.
I am mother. I am mother. I am mother. What do I dream for you, my child? That you feel loved deeply, that you know you are truly worthy, that you are never hungry or cold or thirsty, that you are safe and you never fear for your life.
I am mother.
I am mother. I am mother. I am mother. My child, may you be able to read and write and develop a lifelong love of learning. My son, may your soul be soothed by soft music. And may you, my daughter, be enchanted by alluring worlds of written word. May you, my child, wake in wonder to a glorious sunrise and feel the warmth of those rays for years to come. My daughter, may you be stirred by the soft velvet of a lush forest floor, and may your heart dance to a serenade of bird song. May you, my son, watch salty surf wipe away your footprints in sand, and may you see soft snowflakes on pine boughs, cascading fragrantly up the mountainside. My child, may you feel life's deepest beauty, and may you embrace it on the most profound levels. May you always be intimate with truth and peace. Indeed, there will be dark hours, but one day they are short, and that pain can open the door to light, yours and all the world's. I am mother.
I am mama.
I am Umi. I am Mamam. I am Matka. My son, may you create meaningful friendships and embrace the truest forms of love. My daughter, may you bask in the joy of family for generations. My child, may you appreciate the colors and voices of our world, and may they all enjoy yours too, my dear. May you always be happy and healthy and safe, and may you feel my unwavering devotion in every moment, despite any miles between us. For this I dream, for this I exist. I am here, I am yours, I am your mother. I love you, my darling, as all mothers do. Everywhere, I am mother.
I am mother.
I am mother. I am mother. I am mother.
I am mother.
And long after I volunteered to lead the service, I really felt very presumptuous that I would be talking to you about my spiritual values and how I've come to know years. And I have enough of the Episcopalian still in me that I think of a occasionally a vengeful God. So I may be struck by lightning for presuming to give any guidance on this kind of thing. At any rate, one of the really wonderful things about it being a UU is that we don't have a prescribed creed or a defined path that we must follow if we're to be faithful and meet a goal set by others, not us, of reaching heaven. Instead, we're able and encouraged to explore and define our own spiritual paths, guided by our 7 principles. I hope that by describing my own very belated search for a coherent set of spiritual values, it may encourage you on your path to doing this. I hope to cover 3 topics today. First, brief recapitulation of the rewarding spiritual journey that I've been through, especially in the last 5 years. I got a late start. Secondly, a description of where that journey has taken me to a fusion of Eastern and Western spiritual paths that I find best represented, no kidding, by Slinky. Stay tuned. And third, tying all of this into Mother's Day and how the last few years, more than ever before, really left me in awe of women and what they do. I'll detail these steps only in hopes they may stimulate you to think of what steps you've taken in your own spiritual journey and things you can do forward in the future. Since I majored in religion at Haverford, you might expect that this journey might have begun there. Now, unfortunately, in my case, youth was wasted on the young. I read all of this great literature about various world religions, heard great lectures, but it was in one ear. Now, if only I could go back now. Instead, my spiritual journey started many, many years later. Actually, it was well after I started attending this church. And not here, but in a conference room downtown. I was taking one of those personal development classes that were so popular in the 80s. And even though it was springtime, we were watching A Christmas Carol. More accurately, not the whole movie, but just the last 10, 15 minutes or so, when, if you'll remember, following the visits by the three spirits, the curmudgeonly, crusty Scrooge wakes and realizes it was Christmas. As you all know, despite all of his past, he was instantly transformed. You might say born again, doing good works and spreading cheer right and left. I just love this. As Dickens concluded, he became as good a friend, as good a master, and as good a man as the good old city knew. Some people laughed to see the alteration in him, but he let them laugh and little heeded the laughter. His own heart laughed, and that was quite enough for him. It was always said of him that he knew how to keep Christmas well, if any man alive possessed that knowledge. Now, according to our instructor, the point of watching this amazing transformation was to remind us of what a blessing the 24-hour day is. I would call your attention to our wonderful antique Seth Thomas clock back there. And this will seem strange, but I can't overemphasize the takeaway that I had from that lesson, that doesn't matter what happened to you yesterday, how bad or how good it was, or what you're going to do tomorrow. As I said in that introduction to the meditation, today is what matters. And we have this amazing ability to make today different from yesterday. It doesn't have to be like Groundhog. It can be different, and it's all up to us. That realization, eventually, about 25 years after that class, takes me a while to get going, led me to the first of the three things that I now do daily to remain grounded and be open to living the best way I can. And that is mindfulness meditation. I love the 10% Habit app, but there are many, many sources you can use on this. It's the perfect confirmation of that reality that I learned in the class about the new day. Meditation forces you to be in the moment rather than reflecting on what happened yesterday or dreaming about tomorrow. Let me repeat what I quoted from Warren J. Soper. Today is a new day, a day that you can be aware we each have the power to cultivate a more open, fresh outlook on our lives. All it takes is starting fresh, setting an intention, and returning to that intention during the day. Yesterday was in the past, tomorrow is just a thought. Today is the one day, the only day we have to be alive. Took me many years, but I think I finally come to realize what a wonderful gift the 24-hour day is. Like Scrooge, we have the power to totally change our attitudes and our priorities. Now, the second new ritual that I do daily, usually right after my meditation, is one that I really only took up in the last 3 months or so. And as with the meditation, I was exposed to this long time ago. Becca and I took a series of classes from a larger-than-life woman in Vermont named Toni Stone. And one of the things she would have me do was to write 50 or 100 gratitudes every day for things you were grateful for. In fact, we went to her house twice for Thanksgiving, and they were the longest and most enjoyable Thanksgivings that I ever had, because before you took a bite, you had to say something you were grateful for. So when I do this, I start with the 50 things, the most important things to me, such as my family. And no kidding, I do this every single day. The UU Association, FPUU, and all of you are that important to me. However, one of the curious things that happens, at least to me, in doing this exercise, because I do it every day, and in a lot of the stuff I do repeat, but 50 things is a lot to be grateful for every day. So frequently, the list will devolve towards things like my morning coffee or the cargo that was just with the bird feeder. And I think those things are actually really important because it reminds you of how we shouldn't just be grateful for the big things in our lives, but those little bits of minutia that are all part of it and shape the bigger things. And it's really been fantastic for me doing this. Because of my ADHD, I'm not great on habits. I think I've missed one day since I started doing that list. I just love it. The third ritual that I've added to my life is hiking, and that's critical. I started hiking consistently. I've done it off and on before. On February 1st, 2017. The reason for that date was that it was soon after the Apple Watch came out, and Apple did they would do these from time to time, not very competitive competitions for the staff. The idea was that everybody basically could win. And what we had to do was set a goal for yourself and then follow through on it every day for basically a month. And so there was a nice prize, I don't know what it was. And I really hadn't been exercising much recently. So I set a really, really easy to attain goal for myself. And I started out by walking twice around our cul-de-sac, which is maybe half a mile at best. And one day Rebecca said, let's go down the hill. So we live on a fairly steep hill, so we went down, and I remember panting, so this coming up. But the important thing was, it became a ritual, something that I would do all the time. And again, I can't stress enough how difficult that is for somebody with ADHD to do anything consistently. So over time, I started going farther and farther. And I eventually got all the way down to, some of you may have gone to the Cedar River trustees property on the Medfield Millis line, Charles River. And I got to it. And then after days of doing that, I started going through it. And on even days, I go right to left. And on odd days, I go left to right, just for more variety, which turned out to be a really amazing regulatory thing, because when you do that, first of all, when you do it consistently, and when you vary your perspective by switching your route, you start to notice things that you never noticed. And this is a wonderful, wonderful time of you're doing this. Those of us who went on the walk for 100 at the 100 lesson, it was incredible because all of the yards, the trees were in blossom and everything. And then we got up to Noon Hill and start to see some of the shoots of things up there. And eventually, I arrived at my current, which is I go between 3 and 5 miles almost every day of the year at Rocky Woods. And it's funny because our kids always used to go there for school events. Um, and, uh, and then we would, and back in those days, we actually, David Temple, we used to skate at Rocky Brooks on Chipley Pond. And, so almost everything I ever did there was always just around Chipley Pond. And the amazing thing about creating a ritual like this is that suddenly I came up with this thing where it's sort of a variation on how when I was at Cedar River, I go one way, and the next day the next other. And so now what I do is every day when I park, if I get out and go to the left, then every choice I have in terms of routes, and there are quite a lot of them there in Rocky Woods, I'll take the left choice. And vice versa, if I get out, go to the right. And the amazing thing about that was it made me realize what an incredible amount of nature we're surrounded by here. It's just astounding. We have just such an amazing amount. And as you may know, if you've read any of the studies about this, immersing yourself in nature every day really is wonderful for your spirit. And it has proven medical and psychological benefits. So I can't recommend that enough. Now, and one of the things about the way, particularly about hiking in New England, is it refers back to the meditation. If you are not doing mindfulness meditation, i.e., blocking out in your mind everything in the past, everything that might happen in the future, and concentrating solely on what is happening right then, if you're not doing that, you're going to fall because you trip on breaking root from a tree, you're going to trip on a rock, or the fun thing is when there are the leaves covering the rocks or the roots. And I have a broken clavicle to show for that. So I want to stress that there's absolutely nothing special about the combination of practices that I've done. They just happen to work for me. No one told me to do them myself. I chose them myself. And often after a lot of trial and error, and all sorts of other things I did. I remember when I was in what now would be middle school, and I was confirmed in the Episcopal Church. I decided to be part of the Bible that day. And not only that, I underlined it too. So like the first 10 pages of Exodus or Genesis is all underlined, sometimes little comments, and then the whole rest of the Bible is untouched. So at any rate, and so all I can do, including that part in the sermon, is to urge all of you, if you haven't gone through a similar process, to evolve something, whatever it may be, that works for you and leads you to great peace of mind, more appreciation of others and the world. So, where did that bring me in terms of spirituality? Rev Dave covered a lot of this in his sermon last week on interdependence. The so-called Western religions, Islam, Judaism, Christianity, focus primarily on a linear hierarchical path, with the earth being something to eventually transcend, to unite eventually with a monotheistic God who dictates how to lead a proper life. Woe unto you if you deviate from that path at all. And those practices you have to follow if you're going to be healed. For those of us who believe in nonviolence, it's also important to note that God is also been invoked in many different forms to justify wars, and see it happen again. By contrast, the Eastern religions, such as Buddhism and Hinduism are much more earth-centered. In keeping with our seventh principle, respect for the independent, interdependent web of all existence of which we're part. And they emphasize the circular life. Far from wanting to escape the they instead believe in rebirth after death. The Buddhists, as part of their meditative practice, even practice certain ambulation. Yes, so let's get that wrong. Walking in a circle around an object of veneration. The Buddha said that it purifies your negative karma and ensures favorable rebirth. Speaking of rebirth, there's a key theme in the Eastern religions. They say that they follow a circular path, including a karmic cycle, in which your actions result in good or bad karma, which in turn influences what kind of incarnation you come back after death. Now, you'd be right in expecting that all the time that I've spent in observing the cyclical nature aspect of nature makes me much more interested in the Eastern school of thought. I like to think the contrast between the linear and circular views is that we were each a speck on one timeline or another. If you're on the circle, the great thing about that is you can see everyone else at the same time. If it's a linear path, all you can see is the person in front of you, which is more likely to make you think holistically, to care about others. It also puts us in harmony with the globe, or that the Earth is that big blue marble, round and rotating. The seasons follow each other each year and then repeat. By contrast, in the West, we tend to think in linear fashion, often focused on a goal far off on the horizon, and is achieved by always focusing on a goal and achieving it bit by bit. So what I ended up with is a belief system that combines elements of the Eastern cyclical one and a little bit Western goal. And I call it Slinky Spirituality. That's my vision. The one thing I don't like about the Eastern approach is I think it can lead to getting trapped in essence, reinventing the wheel every day. And what this just came to me one day, that what is so cool about the Slinky is, yes, you come back to the same point each day, but hopefully you come back a little bit higher. And you do that enough times, and you have this, I'm afraid I don't know all the physics of the Slinky, but this amazing adaptive thing that is so amazingly flexible. And I think that's not a bad way of thinking about spirituality. So it has led me to these daily practices that leave me more time to address the world on its terms, not mine, led me to a spirituality based largely on the cyclical aspects of nature, making me more aligned with nature, but it allows me to combine that with a little bit more Western thing of building on the past and advancing higher. And I hope that doesn't strike you as absolute crazy. Now, what does all this have to do with Mother's Day? Over the last couple of years, and I honestly don't know what it was, except for a woman I worked with who had gotten divorced, and she didn't have any children. And she said, I didn't need a husband to be a good woman. And in my strange way of thinking, that really just was a bolt from the blue that, and it made me really re-examine all of the traditional roles of men and women, and with all of the variations now fortunately have with the other cheese. But it still is, unfortunately, as far as I'm concerned, assumed that a woman will become a mother. And not every woman is going to want to do that. And it's, it hit me like a rock that, wow, even with all of the incredible progress, my mother was one of the first women to go to colleges, and she became a professional, although she gave it all up to be a mother. And so I've seen just in my life such an amazing change in the roles of women. But with that one implicit thing on the part of society as a whole, that of course, with all of the other things you're doing, building a career, taking part in social movements, spiritual life, all of that, of course, and I want to be a mother as well. So it strikes me that we all need to be so much more grateful and not take that for granted on the part of mothers. And I wanted to conclude by reading a thing that really struck me in this regard. It's from a book called Enlightenment Through Motherhood by a woman named Astra Nidra. It's a little long, please bear with me. Mothering is such a huge, all-encompassing and time-consuming mission with far more serious consequences for our actions than any type of work. And also, many mothers would argue, far greater rewards than any other work can possibly give. And it provides continuous and constant prompting towards growth in consciousness, awareness, and the capacity to love. Essentially, the requirements for enlightenment. And to me, that sort of crystallized the whole thing that I think humanity needs to look to mothers, other women for guidance and inspiration on our spiritual growth. And I am so grateful to all of the mothers and other women in our church. Thank you so much. And again, my apologies for being so presumptuous to think that whatever I could talk about might be of any help or interest. Thank you so much. And Don will now see all.
My name is Don Rolfe. I'm at the annual fund drive, and as I've often said, it's this church run, it's all us who are here, the things we do, and the financial support we provide to it. New Life's Furniture Bank has been an activity that we've been involved in for many years, and this month, this is an activity that we will be sharing the offertory not only to support us, but New Life Furniture Bank, which provides lightly used furniture for people who are newly housed to provide accessibility. So with that, I hope you'll be generous for the offering today.
I will now extinguish our chalice, but may its light and warmth stay in our hearts until we meet again. Here ends our worship, but our service begins.